So, I thought I'd do a little mini series in the run up to Christmas. And the first thing I'm going to talk about today is alcohol. It is the busiest time of year for pubs, I'm reliably informed, in the run up to Christmas from the beginning of December. And alcohol, believe it or not, is not a performance enhancing drug. So I thought I'd give you a little bit of info on what alcohol does to us and also how it can potentially impact our training and our adaptation from the training and recovery from training. So that you can make some informed choices. I'm absolutely not telling you to stop drinking or to drink less over Christmas. That is entirely your choice, but I'm a firm believer in making informed choices around all of this sort of stuff. So, alcohol itself, when we drink it, gets broken fairly quickly down into sugars in our bloodstream, and high sugars in our bloodstream cause our blood to be slightly more acidic. So this is one of the reasons that, for example, type 2 diabetes impacts our peripherals, our toes, our fingers, our eyes, much smaller blood capillaries, because they are more sensitive to that slightly higher acidity level in our bloodstream from the sugar. And alcohol will have a similar effect to just eating loads of sugar. We're usually not kind of exercising it off like we would with our energy gels. So it's another reason why people get kind of beer bellies, our bodies trying to kind of dump that sugar out of our bloodstream as quickly as possible. And one of the ways it does that is by fat around our middle, very close to where the organs that are processing it. So, there is a medium and longer term effect on risk of heart disease, various cancers, type 2 diabetes, stroke, etc. That goes pretty linear with alcohol intake. In terms of how that all ties into our training, it has a bit of a sort of different, multi kind of pronged impact. So you might notice that you feel quite dehydrated after you've been out for just a couple of drinks, or definitely if you've been out for a bit of a night out. Alcohol does dehydrate us, and it also kind of takes or uses up some of the chemicals that we have in our body, like some of the electrolytes, for example, as part of the process of breaking that alcohol down. So not only will we be a bit dehydrated, but we will also be low on electrolytes. So top tip for a morning after the night before is drinking plenty of water, but maybe adding a little bit of your electrolyte mix for running into that drink. It'll perk you up a bit quicker. But what it means is that any session that we do the day after, or maybe even the day after that, after a particularly big night out, will be impacted by the fact that you'll still be dehydrated and low on electrolytes in the background. And then it comes to the fact that alcohol is a bit of an inflammatory, so in part related to that sort of being broken down into sugar response. The alcohol can cause a little bit of an inflammatory response in our bodies and in our muscle cells, and that means that we're not going to adapt to or recover from training quite as well. So the training sessions that you did the day before, maybe even the day before that, you won't recover from them as well or adapt to them as efficiently, and definitely the ones that you do that day you won't be adapting to and recovering from as well as you would normally. And then probably one of the best known impacts of going on a bit of a night out is the impact it has on your sleep. So it's an interesting one because you feel like you kind of crash out, don't you? And then maybe there's a bit of tossing and turning in the middle of the night. You might feel sort of really hot, which is something, again, that alcohol does to us. We should have a lower core body temperature when we're sleeping. So one of the reasons for that fitful night's sleep often after the initial crash out is the fact that alcohol's raised our core body temperature. We don't sleep as deeply. So that sleep quality is another massive thing, and again will impact our recovery from sessions done previously and our performance in sessions over the next couple of days. So you might have got a decent number of hours in bed, but actually the quality of that sleep will likely be pretty poor. You're not necessarily sleeping when you kind of crash out when you get to bed. You're in a little bit of a stupor, in a little bit of a different kind of state. And then, as I say, that sort of fitful sleep that you get is not particularly high quality for recovery. So, as I said, far from me to say what you should and shouldn't do and shouldn't drink. Keep going as you are. That's absolutely fine. But, just hopefully armed with a little bit more knowledge about what's going on in your body and how it's going to impact particularly your training and your recovery. You know, there are some fantastic alcohol-free alternatives out there. So, you know, swapping between alcoholic drink and a non-alcoholic drink. I'm a massive fan these days of alcohol-free Guinness. For me, it almost tastes a little bit nicer than real Guinness. Sacrilegious to say, I know. And nobody knows when you're drinking what looks like a perfect pint of Guinness that you're drinking something alcohol-free. Some fantastic alcohol-free beers and also alternatives to sort of gin and other spirits these days. Or just, you know, alternating with, you know, a tonic water or something like, or a glass of water or something like that. And also stopping drinking earlier in the evening. So that will give your body the chance to have metabolised away some of the alcohol, maybe have a little bit of a snack, have plenty to drink, maybe even add a little bit of electrolyte to your drink the night before you go to bed or later on in the evening. You will have more of the impact if you continue drinking right up until the time you go to sleep versus if you've stopped maybe 3 or 4 hours earlier. Anyway, a few thoughts to be acted upon or ignored, depending on what you want to do. Happy running.